Hello, everyone, and welcome. Sorry we're a little late. Work and stuff, excuses, but welcome. Today I have the lovely Siham. Do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Hello, I'm Siham, and I'm an INFP. I'm I I have a channel on YouTube called So Many Mondays about various topics, and I'm Somali, but I live in England, and yeah.
Yeah, her channel has some of the funniest videos. She's really good at video editing, and she's just very humorous. There's this one that's it was like INFP thoughts. What was the title?
I think it was stuff INFPs say.
Yes, that video was hilarious. I was dying the whole time. I love that video so much. But so we're going to chat today with you guys. We're going to start with some easy stuff. We're going to talk about some MBTI, and then we're going to delve into some more controversial stuff a little bit later. So let's talk about MBTI. Like, what do you think is like the biggest difference, like on the outside, like when you're looking out in between an INFP and an ENFP?
Well, to kind of surprise you here, so basically the first time I came into contact with MBTI was 2015, so 4 years ago, right? So you think that in that time I would know like a lot, but I kind of just you know dabble with like learning about it here and there, so my knowledge isn't like great where I want it to be, but I can only speak for myself. With me, everything is centered around my set of moral values. So the decisions that I make are set around whether it fits with my idea of right or wrong. So I would believe that an ENFP would have that as well, but not to the extent I have it. So
So,
there,
oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
sorry. So there, with me, I feel like I just can't ignore it, and sometimes I wish I could, but I can't. But with an ENFP, I'm guessing that you can have room to ignore that too.
Yeah, I think I actually ignore that a lot more than I wish. Like I have to actually put aside time. Like I will get in like project mode or like go mode, and I'll just like start doing things and just like with the pure goal of finishing them and just like do a bunch of things, and then it'll be like either right after I said something or right after I finished a project that I'm like, huh, was this like the right thing to do? So you're just like constantly always like this is right or this is wrong. Like you're pretty quick to get those kind of judgments.
Yeah, it gets so exhausting sometimes because sometimes I just feel like I wish I could just like live in the moment and not like always think before I make a internal or like external decision.
Well, if it helps, I'm not any more in the moment than you are probably. But um so what's like your favorite thing about MBTI and like well you say um that you don't know as much about it as you would like to. Like what are some of the things that you're hoping to learn about it?
So with the people who make topics, I mean not INFP, MBTI related content on YouTube, uh, they tend to just quickly can tell you the definitions and like of the cognitive functions and how they would manifest in real life, how they'd be manifested in real life. But with me, I don't feel comfortable in I could just randomly just go online and memorize something and then recite it to a bunch of people, but it's not gonna be authentic. So, oh my god, I sound like such an IDP. But basically, I just want to be able to understand the cognitive functions and and I then put aside like the stereotypes, break break the stereotype barrier and understand them properly without having to like have a prejudgment of what they are.
Yeah,
Yeah.
actually, I can really relate to that. When I first started with MBTI, all the cognitive function stuff just kind of like really confused me and was like overwhelming. And I'm like, I don't know how I'm ever going to be able to understand this. How does everybody understand it? Um, and the first 4 years for me, actually, probably closer to the first 6 years, I didn't even look into it. I just stuck with the stereotypes about the letters. And after time, then I started watching more YouTube videos where people were talking about it. But even if you watch my earlier videos, I don't talk about cognitive functions at all. And that was only 2 years ago because it's still at that point I wasn't comfortable talking about it. So I can definitely relate to that.
Yeah, I feel like I get overwhelmed with the amount of information there is. So I just don't, I just, I just say I'm gonna learn about it, but I just don't.
So is
And I
that,
have,
oh, go
go
ahead.
ahead, sorry. Go ahead.
Are those the kind of videos that you like to watch about MBTI, or what kind of MBTI videos do you even watch?
I like watching MBTI videos, but I would say not very like, I don't know, I would say, so I like watching your videos, Emily's videos, who else? I watch a bunch of other people. I watch INFP HD. Sean, his name is Sean. He's in the comments right now.
He
I
is.
watch his videos. I watch. I used to watch Michael Pierce's videos. I find them like they he's very informative. But I tend to go for I don't know more like conversational, like a bit more. I don't know.
Like the car talks.
Yeah, the car talks are. Oh yeah, I don't know. I just like. I would say I don't know. I just like to. I mean, the car talks are fine, but with me, I find that my attention span is kind of short. So sometimes I go from video to video to video to video. So I would say. I mean, once I really like form a connection to like the channel, like I always come back again and again. But uh, I like I like a balance between informative and like lighthearted.
Yeah. No, actually, I'm 100% the same way. Like some of my own videos, I can't even watch. I'm like, Michelle, why are you being so boring? Like, I am not a big fan of car videos. Not that there's anything against them, but I also have a similar like they're cool, but I'll probably bounce to another video after like I especially like Megan Lavoda because with her car videos she always says what the point is at the beginning and then she starts to break it down so I can get the point of the video and then kind of like move on.
I really like how Megan talks about so many different uh, topics within MBTI and other stuff too.
Exactly. And that kind of like is a pretty good segue to get us into our next subject, which is different subjects. So, like, you and I both don't really stick to MBTI on our channel. And one of the things that you recently did a video about was synesthesia, and you were talking about how you see months as colors, but you also see words and dates as color. You see days of the week as color, which can be probably confusing if like they don't match. So, do you want to talk more about that?
Yeah, so in the video I talked about two types of different synesthesia, synesthetic synesthesia forms of synesthesia that I have. One of them is called spatial sequence synesthesia. So that one is when you can visualize sequences in your mind's eye. Some people, there are two types of synesthetes. There are people who can see who experience it within their mind's eye automatically, and there are ones who experience it in like the physical world automatically. So I'm more of the, you know, the person that experiences it in the world. I mean, in the world. Sorry, I'm so nervous. In their mind.
Right.
So I'm able to see years, months, weeks, the dates within the month. I have like my own system, so it just automatically happens. I can't really yeah, and I see the names of the months, the years, numbers and letters in color. And what I've noticed is that sometimes the the colors don't like. So, for example, with September, things that begin with S are usually predominantly yellow for me. So September, it's like whitish, greenish. And I don't know why that happens, but yeah.
Yeah, so have you researched more about like the psychology or like the anything behind that actually?
As to why my colors have changed.
Yeah, or like why anybody has synesthesia in general, like how that, like what's going on in the brain to cause that?
Okay, so there are two theories. I'm guessing that there are lots of theories, but there are two main theories that are discussed by people. The first one states that it's everybody has synesthesia as an infant, but then as you grow up, those neural connections slowly die off. And the second one is that your brain is reacting to stimulus. I mean, organizing the stimulus or reacting to, I don't know, in the wrong way. So, for example, if you and me see the letter A, a non-synesthete will just see the letter A. Their brain will just categorize it as a letter, right? They won't go through the pathway that deals with colors, if that makes sense.
So it's almost like the connections, like, so your mind, obviously, it makes connections between the neurons. And so what you're saying is like when you see some kind of visual input, like a letter or a number or even a thought, probably, it like also goes through your color processing, even though like for normal people, it would just
Just go through.
bypass it.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I'm saying. So, um, I believe in the second theory, the one that you've just talked about. I think that makes more sense to me. Um, what and the second thing you asked as to why my colors don't match up sometimes. I think I don't know why, but you know what? I think maybe those two theories, maybe they're both right in some way. Like maybe they are both like um two small parts of a bigger picture. So maybe you do form connections when you're young, and maybe those connections slowly die off, but some of them may survive. Or so maybe you do have those connections when you're young, and maybe it's the child's way of making sense of the world.
Yeah, while you were talking about it, I kind of had a similar thought that it could very well be both things combined and potentially even more things that we haven't even discussed. Like, because I'm just thinking about the way that the mind works and the way that the connections work. When you're young, you're just constantly building connections, right? You're building little bridges between all of your synapses in your brain. And what happens when you use them more regularly is you gain like a little layer of fat around the connection, which strengthens the connection. So I like possibly with some people, they continue to use those weird diverted processes to get to that information, or they just continue to use all of the connections instead of narrowing it down. So they strengthen all of those connections and then maintain them because they've been using them for so long. And other people just learn how to like have a single way. Maybe they're trying to have a more efficient manner. It'd be interesting to think about like cognition and like if cognitive functions have any kind of like effect on how likely you are to have synesthesia, or what kind of synesthesia you're going to have. Because I know there are some connections like with ADHD and that kind of stuff where cognition can have an effect, and I wonder if it can affect something like synesthesia.
That's really interesting, and I think it's something that, if you're interested in these topics, is worth looking into. It's I think with synesthesia, I forgot what I was gonna say, but yeah, you're right with what you said about the two theories. Maybe, I don't know, not being so separate, I guess.
Right. I think that
Uh,
that's just kind of how both of our brains work, though, right? We're like, well, it's probably not just one singular answer. There's probably multiple
yeah,
answers.
that any. So, what was I gonna say? Forgot. Anyway, uh, so the number 7 is pink for me, and I think I know why that may be. So basically, when I was in year 7 or 7th grade, to anybody who's American resources. Anyway, so when I was in 7th grade, our art teacher, I don't know why, but he got all of us to paint the number 7 in pink for some reason. I don't know
Okay,
why.
and so like pretty much ever since then, 7 is pink.
Probably, I don't know. Maybe that's why. And the uh the letter C is like yellowy, orangey. So in that same school, the we had blocks, C block, B block, I think G block, and C block had, like, if I can remember right, yellow walls.
Hmm, interesting. Well, what's funny is as soon as you said C, I just imagined it as yellow, but more of like a lemony yellow.
You're becoming a synesthete now. Oh my god.
Ah! Oh, and maybe it's a learned skill, no? Could
Yeah, some
be.
people say you can learn it, but I don't know. I don't know. Maybe you can. Maybe it is a learned thing.
I don't know why you'd maybe want to go out of your way to learn it. Maybe I'm trying to see a
Yeah.
purpose for it, but maybe there's people that don't really, they just want to do something because it's cool. I guess there are things that we all do that are like that, where that we maybe don't do them because there's a purpose for it.
Yeah, true. I remembered what I was gonna say. Synesthesia is, I read somewhere that synesthesia is linked with autism, and if I'm and correct me if I'm wrong, but autism is obviously it's a spectrum, right? And people with autism struggle with things that we would like, things that we
Yeah,
don't
like
find
right,
as
like
a challenge.
social things or like for specifically like social cues are like a huge thing. Focus can also be a huge thing. Sensitivity to like stimulus, whether it's eyes, like sight or hearing or feeling, um, they can be more sensitive to that kind of stuff where we normal people might just completely. But anyway, keep going.
Yeah. So if that's the case, then, and if it is linked with autism, then are more autistic people more likely to, is their brain more likely to go through different pathways, like longer pathways of processing things that uh, other people will just easily like their brain, like the letter A, just the letter A. They don't have to see it in red or blue to, I don't know. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it totally makes sense actually. Like it might actually give us further insight into like how an autistic mind works. Um, because if they are focusing more energy, like more mental energy on seeing these different connections, like seeing colors for letters and stuff, that's taking away from their ability to do other things like mentally, because you can really only do so much mentally at one time. So that's actually quite sensical. Like it makes a lot of sense and it actually makes me want to research and think about it more.
Yeah, it's interesting. Very interesting. But then, you could argue that why do non-autistic people have synesthesia then?
Then you could also wonder, are they actually on the spectrum to some degree?
Yeah, yeah, true.
It could go both ways, but also, um, I mean, it could be a symptom of autism, but not like it could be correlational, not what's the word when they like require one? If there's correlational, what's the other one?
Correlation. Is that it?
There's another one,
Correlation?
the opposite of that. There's two parallel lines or two intersecting lines, and like autism and
I
synesthesia
don't
could be
know.
parallel lines.
I
Basically,
hate
that.
math.
Oh well, basically, uh, you could either have two things that are causation and correlation. That's
Oh
what I
yeah,
was
yeah, yeah.
thinking. Yeah, so it could be that autism is correlated to synesthesia and it's more likely to be found in somebody who's autistic, but it might not be caused by autism.
True.
Kind of like most autistic people have social anxiety, but is social anxiety limited to autistic people?
No, no, it isn't. No, true.
Yeah. Um, so I thought now we could get into the more juicy stuff. we,
I feel. I think we should save that.
oh,
uh, I think we should save that. So, is there anything else you want to talk about, or do you want me to go ahead with more things about synesthesia?
you can go ahead with more.
Okay, so a while back I did this genetic study about synesthesia. So they were looking into the because synesthesia is genetic. They were looking into the genes that could play a role in the causing synesthesia. So they sent you that tube thing that you spit in and then they go analyze your DNA in a lab or something. They sent me first. Before that, I had to go on the website and like fill out some details and then take a test. So there are so many different types of synesthesia, but that test was just for people, I guess, who had my one of the ones that I have, the numbers and letters to color.
Mhm.
So there was a timer, and it would show me the same numbers and letters over and over again, and see if I picked the same color for them, and you got your result. And if your result was, say, if I can remember right, below one, like one,
Mhm.
then you are synesthetic. You are most likely to be synesthetic, and they would send you a response by email and send you that DNA kit thing. Then you would mail it to them, and you have to follow the report on the website basically because they're still doing it.
That's really interesting that you're kind of being part of an experiment in that way. That's really cool. How did you get involved with that?
So it's a bit of a long story, but so I used to have an old channel, my old channel, uh, which I deleted all the videos, but basically I made a video about synesthesia on there, and someone contacted me, and then I ended up helping run their uh Instagram account, their synesthesia Instagram account, and then from then on I would like do uh, research for content that I could put on there. Then I think someone contacted us through the account. I can't remember, but I somehow found it through that.
Hmm.
And yeah, no, I think someone commented it. That I think someone commented or someone posted it on their story. Something like through that Instagram account. I found that study, and then I told everybody else about it.
That's really cool. That's one of like the really great things about the internet is you can find opportunities that probably like if you had just kept going to school and going about your normal day life, you probably never would have ran into that.
True, and I'd probably still like. I told my mom about it, and she was just like, "What are you talking about? Like, numbers and letters don't have colors, and this is not blue. Blah blah blah."
So they said it's genetic. Like, what are your parents like, or do any of your siblings have it?
I talked to my brothers and sisters about synesthesia, and I think one might have it because he told me that when he thinks of a year, it automatically just pops up in his like head. So, for example, he can visualize it. So the year 2008, 18 or 13 or whatever, I can automatically visualize it in its hue. Yeah. So for example, the 90s. So the 90s are like, am I doing it right? Okay, so the numbers are on a timeline. So here is the 2000s, and then here are the 90s. So and then before the 90s is everything else, but these are the 90s, and then we go into, I sound like crazy. We go into the 2000s, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
So yeah, it's like it's like I don't know. It's it depends really because you can't see everything at once. Your mind just kind of zooms in on the thing it's thinking about.
So basically, what you're saying is there is this like spectrum, but your mind is really only seeing a portion of the spectrum at the time, and the
Yeah.
spectrum is like a is it like continuous like shades of hues, or is it like can you explain that more?
So my so it depends. So the 90s are like kind of dark because my nine is it was a navy blue, but it's gone darker now, so it's almost kind of like blackish, I guess. So the 90s are uh, dark predominantly, even and my one is like my one is supposed to be black, but I don't know what's going on in my synesthesia. Like things that I would always strongly see as one color are becoming harder to see now. So yeah, so it's always predominantly the whatever it's starting with is predominantly that color. So it's kind of like a gradient.
Okay. Um, that makes a lot of sense. So it starts like as a gradient and kind of gets like weaker for certain areas, but some are
Yeah,
more strong. But you also said it changed a little bit, is that right?
yeah. So the layout is the same, but the colors of some numbers and letters or words. So 9 was a navy blue, but now it's like gone darker. Um, my three, my three was a green. The now it's gone blue. Yeah.
Interesting. So it's kind of changing. And then you said even like some are not having as much synesthesia as they used to as well.
Yeah. So now, like, now I feel like my synestesia's gone a bit weaker.
Have you done anything differently that you think might cause it to get weaker, or do you think it's something that happens with like age? Is it maybe because you're like focusing on it? What do you think might be causing that?
Um, I'm not sure, but a friend in school said a while back, because he had synesthesia too. He said that he knows people that their synesthesia gets weaker with the seasons or something. I don't know. I haven't noticed a pattern enough to make a correlation, I guess. Or I don't know. I haven't noticed a pattern in terms of that. Um, I feel like synesthesia is a connection-based thing. So the more you think about something, the more like it's gonna be. So if I keep thinking, so for example, my synesthesia is stronger when I'm looking at my phone, because if I see the time on my phone, the colors kind of pop out, and I feel like I'm seeing them in real life. And
Hmm.
the less, yeah, so it was the same with like this time thing near this time thing in my house. It was like, it's I don't know what it is, but it's this thing with the time. It's not a clock. I used to look at that a lot, and the colors would sort of pop out as well. And then now that I don't look at that anymore, when I look at it now, it just looks normal to me. So I think maybe the connections are getting weaker.
Interesting. And what I'm kind of noticing is that like when you have a stronger external light source while you're looking at these things like the numbers and the letters, it gives you more synesthesia, which when I think about that, when I hear a stronger light source, when you think about pixels, they have all of the colors. They have the red, blue, and green. Um, and so what you're then able to do with your mind is pull the color that you want to see up front using the light source. Whereas with like when you're seeing it on paper, you don't have those extra lights to fill in your mind. You can't really see them as much. So if you're looking at paper, your color spectrum is going to be a little bit more limited, such as black ink on a paper is only going to really be able to show black, maybe like a hint of blue, just because of the way the light's going to reflect off of it. But if you're coming from a pixel, then you're going to have that light in the background so your mind can pick and choose which colors to see rather than being told by the external world which colors to see.
Yeah, true. And you also mentioned that the neural connections they have. Were you talking about their anatomy when you're saying they have like a fatty layer that
Yeah,
makes the connection stronger? So I'm guessing that the less you make, the less your it's like, I guess the more you try and cut off the habit of seeing, whether you're doing it consciously or subconsciously, the habit of you seeing the letter A as red, the more your brain is gonna stop seeing it as red.
exactly. So it definitely would be potentially like a combination, like um, just not doing it as much or not thinking about it as much could slowly weaken that connection. Because you're absolutely right in that assumption. Like the less you use something, that fatty shield that protects it will diminish over time if it's not being used, which is, why people later on in life, if they're not using certain connections in their brain, they start to get memory loss and they start to not think about, they not, like, part of the reason why you can avoid things like Alzheimer's is by like working on your memory, using memory, like constantly doing brain exercises and stuff. It's because that helps build those sheaths. Not always. There are some genetic factors that will actually cause holes in your brain, but I guess I should say dementia rather than Alzheimer's. Dementia in general, which is just memory loss. Um, so Francesca is asking, does the synesthesia happen in the dark?
No, it's just something that happens. It doesn't matter the lighting situation, or I think external factors don't really because it's something that happens in my brain. External factors don't really have a role in it, I guess.
Interesting. How long have you known that you have synesthesia?
I would say probably. I can't really put my finger on it. I don't really remember, but probably since 2016 or 17 or maybe late 15. I don't know. Around that kind of time, I didn't when I found out about synesthesia, I didn't automatically say, "Oh, I'm a synesthete," because it was quite a weird thing to grasp, and also I didn't want to go around being unsure that I was a synesthete, and then telling people who already are gonna see this thing as like, who already are gonna find this thing hard to conceptualize. I didn't want them. I didn't want to like um go around saying I'm this when I'm not. I had to be 100% sure, and that meant paying attention to how I see things. Because synesthesia, people think that it's a huge sensory overload, but it's not. It's like so ingrained in your brain that it's even hard for the person with synesthesia to know that they have it.
Yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense. And I was kind of wondering, so you've probably had it like potentially your whole life, like as that one theory states, you have it, like almost all babies have it or whatever. Um, and then as you learned about it, then you started paying more attention and you could notice it. Just kind of like, we breathe, but are we constantly feeling that we're breathing? It's something that we can kind of stop thinking about because, we know it's going to happen. We don't need to sit there and watch every breath. We have lots of other things to think about. So I would think that it would be pretty similar to that, where you have it, but it's kind of subconscious to a certain degree until you actually try to pay attention to it.
Yeah, true. That's true.
So someone's asking, what happens when you see text that's already in a color? So we were talking about how C is like that orangey yellow color. What if you see C in like a bright cyan blue or something?
Well, I I think I don't know. I just my brain's already made the connection that C is like an orangey yellow. Um, it's gonna. I heard, I read that some synesthetes find it really annoying, and I can see why. It's annoyed me before, but it's not. It's just, I don't know. It's just the letter C in science. Not a good color to use.
Hmm. So would you say, like, when you create things, like when you're maybe like drawing or putting things in a notebook or something, do you try to match the color to the letter as you see it, or do you just like do whatever, like maybe you're writing a word all in pink and it starts with a C, are you gonna like try to put the C in yellow, or is that something you even worry about?
Yes and no. I'm Unless I really care about something, I'm quite lazy. So if I have to color the whole letter in pink, I will. But so my channel name is an example. So I've had so many different banners for my channel name because I was being a perfectionist. So I would have the Mondays part in a green because Monday is green because M is green. So I would have it as like a green. I would have it in green. Then I decided I didn't like it in green, so I just changed it.
Hmm. So how often, like, do these kind of things get in the way, like where it bothers you, especially like on a, well, and just in general, like how often do you find it like impacting your day-to-day life in that kind of like annoyance level or in any way?
Uh, hmm. It's not really annoying to me at all. I think synesthesia is harmless. It's harmless. It's a fact. Actually, it's harmless for the most part. It's not a disability or like anything that's supposed to cause you any harm. But there are some people whom their synesthesia is just like too much. But for me, it's not too much at all. I'm like the opposite. Some of my connections are getting weaker, and that bothers me.
Hmm. Yeah, because it's kind of part of your identity in a way, and like to lose that is to like lose a piece of your identity to some degree.
Yeah, yeah, true.
So do you think the people that get annoyed when things don't match up correctly, do you think, well, I mean, I could be putting words in your mouth or maybe making you guess on something you don't have the answer to, but do you think it's more likely that the people that get annoyed have the physical synesthesia rather than the mental synesthesia?
They could, they could have it. They could have the physical synesthesia, or they could have a stronger mental connection. I, I think, I think the synesthesia itself doesn't make you feel annoyed. It's you who's being like, it's another part of you who's taking it upon yourself to be annoyed. I mean, if somebody's six is pink and mine is purple, I'm not gonna start going on a campaign to like prove that six is whatever. At the end of the day, this is all subjective, and I don't really care. Okay, I don't care.
You're not going to go around being a synesthesia activist.
So yeah, yeah, I'm not. I'm not gonna do that.
Come on, it'll be so much fun. You can have color coordinated signs.
Yeah, imagine a synesthetic like, imagine synesthetes coming to like protest or I don't know something, and then they all start fighting because theirs is different and this and that, and the synesthetes who can feel other people's pain are like slowly dying in the corner because the punches are like being felt here and there. Oh, mess.
I think I just had an idea for a video where, you know, that is happening. I think that would be so hilarious. They're fighting over what color the sign should be.
I
Okay.
know that's like first world problems.
Right?
Yeah, people are dying and everything, and you're just worrying about. I wish I had your problems. Well, everybody wishes they had your problems.
Right.
um. So, I I should have said this earlier, but there is a type of synesthesia where people can taste words. I know it sounds weird. The whole thing sounds weird, but the name, I don't know, Derek, could taste like, and I'm quoting something I saw before, like wax, earwax or something. So some people have like a really hard time, and I feel sorry for those people because they could be reading or a name could be said or something, and then it could just taste horrible.
Oh wow. So like they hear words, but they taste things in their mouth based off the words or maybe what they're seeing or any of that.
Yeah, so I think I don't know if it's just them hearing the word. Maybe they could be reading it or writing it. I don't know. It's just the word itself makes their brain makes that connection, and then maybe it goes through like different pathways and blah blah blah, and then all of a sudden they taste earwax.
That would be very unfortunate. Like you have a trigger word and you just have to tell everyone don't say that word.
Yeah, imagine someone going up to them like, "Why do you get offended by everything?"
And you're like, if you could taste these words.
What are you talking about? Oh my god, that's funny.
I mean,
But that
oh, go ahead.
no, go ahead.
I was just saying I can relate to that to a certain degree because I do feel very strong memory relations to tastes, kind of like the opposite direction, where certain tastes have like um, memories attached to them, and like I more so experience the memory than the flavor, um, which
So like,
is like the opposite, if that makes sense. But
so
kind of seems
memories trigger taste.
taste trigger memories.
Oh, taste trigger memories. Wow. Oh, um. So like, oh, oh yeah, like, so for example, I know this isn't taste, but like, I imagine I smell like a certain perfume, and then I remember somebody who used to wear that perfume or something.
Right, that kind of association exactly. Like it doesn't even have
Yeah,
to be about the smell or the taste specifically. Um, but it's like for some reason that memory is attached, and anytime I eat it, it's like I'm eating a memory.
yeah, yeah.
I'm not sure if that's the same, but that's the closest I can think about like myself having
That's
something like synesthesia.
that's very true. I think like that's so common. There's a common thing that everybody experiences. Like it's so common. Nobody goes like, oh, um, that doesn't like with synesthesia. I think people have a right not to believe it because they can't really see it, can they? I mean, you can believe in things that you can't see, but what I'm trying to say is that it's so hard to conceptualize. But with things that have been like, I think sort of like things that we all experience, like smelling something or tasting something and then remembering a memory, that's more easier to conceptualize because we've all felt it at some point.
Exactly, and then we might still not, experience it the same way, but we can kind of relate a little bit more. It seems a little bit more realistic to conceptualize, so to say.
Oh, by the way, I'm like two different temperatures. My face is hot, but my hands are freezing cold. I have this thing where like my feet and my hands are always freezing cold, and I come shivering, and then here is like hot.
Okay, so not to turn you into a hypochondriac, but you should look up this thing called Raynaud's syndrome.
I have, thanks to Google.
My boyfriend claims that he has it because he always has cold hands and feet, but sometimes he doesn't, so I'm not convinced.
It's too much. I went to the doctor not for this, but like for my feet because I have flat feet, and then that sounds funny to say. I have flat feet, and then the doctor she touched my feet, and then she said, "Are your feet always cold?" And I said, "Yeah," and she said, "Okay."
That's
And
all. That
some
was the
people
end.
just naturally have it. Some people just naturally have
Oh,
cold hands and feet, and it's really bad. Oh, I hate cold.
yeah.
I'm wearing socks right now. I have to do this.
Are you a person that doesn't like being cold?
No, I don't like being cold.
So you'd rather be really warm than really cold?
No, I don't want to be really warm either. I just want to be normal.
I want to be a normal, like 75 or something.
That doesn't sound like an INFP, right? INFPs are usually like, I want to be different. Okay.
Well, in a way, it is different. I mean,
Yeah, yeah, true, true.
like, I mean, not everything has to be different. I mean, you have your personal tastes and stuff.
Speaking of taste, I have to put it literally, but I'm like the fussiest eater ever. Some some things like that everybody tends to like cinnamon and ginger. I can't stand ginger. It makes me sick. I don't know if I have an allergy to it. I can tolerate it in like non-existent percentages. Like for example, we had this curry and it was like the sauce was in jar, a jar, but then it's just like a pre-made curry sauce, right? And it has like 1% ginger, I think. I couldn't taste it at all, so I wasn't like feeling sick. Even the look of it makes me like, even the smell. I hate the smell of it. I hate ginger so much. One time, my mom put it in the food, and I was sick for a week.
Oh my God. So what other kind of foods are you like that with?
I don't like cinnamon, but cinnamon doesn't make me sick like ginger. I don't like cloves. I don't know if there's a pattern here, but you know those strong like spices, herbs.
Yeah,
Don't like.
like star anise or something where it tastes.
Oh, I never tasted that, but it looks evil. I don't like it.
Oh, it just tastes like straight licorice, like black licorice.
It tastes like cloves on steroids. I mean, it doesn't
It's
taste like it. It looks like cloves on steroids.
it's creepy. I don't like it either.
Okay, I think I've made you like go off topic. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. I always go off topic. It's just my life. You could ask my boyfriend. Um, I can't really think of anything else to ask about synesthesia. Is there anything else you want to talk about synesthesia?
No, I think I've talked a lot about it.
Oh, someone's asking what's your type. She's an INFP and I'm an ENFP. Oh, apparently there is a book called A Natural History of the Senses. That looks really interesting.
I will check that out. I need to start reading more.
I know I always go through phases for reading. Like sometimes I'll just like be binge reading and like do nothing but reading, and then sometimes it takes like 3 months for me to pick up a book.
Same here. I think with like books that I really like, I'll always read them. But with general books, I don't know.
Yeah, I think you have to have like a certain level of interest to really like continue to read. I am very not jealous, but a little bit unsure how people who aren't interested in things can read them anyway. Like, how do you push through the boringness?
Yeah, like my friend who I think could be an INTP. I'm not sure. She loves like learning about so many different things. She doesn't really have to be, I like shivering, but she doesn't really have to be interested in it beforehand. She just dives into so many different topics. She doesn't stay with them for too long. She just knows a bunch of stuff.
Interesting. I mean, I guess I do that to some degree, but I have to be interested to even start wanting to learn about it.
Me too. I have to be interested in it. And once I'm interested, I usually tend to like stay with that thing until I move on to something else.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I get a little too involved sometimes with things like
Yeah, yeah.
MBTI right now.
Me too. Like that friend introduced me to MBTI, but she just like was like, "Here it is," and then she went, kind of. And then I'm
Right,
just
she
like,
didn't
here
get
to stay.
attached to it.
Yeah,
Interesting. I wonder if that is kind of like a difference. Maybe FI users are more likely to get attached to things than TI users because we get this kind of like, what's it called?
probably. By the way, I'm just looking at the comments here.
You're fine.
I think someone said something. Hold on. Stephanie said, "Oh, I have cold hands and feet often. I think for me it's low blood pressure." Okay, I don't know. I don't know what my case is, but I don't know. I just have really cold hands and feet, and running around helps me. Yeah, I think exercise could help. I'm lazy. I can't be bothered to exercise. Then oh, Okay, and then I don't know what I'm saying. Oh my god, I need to read these comments out. Someone said, "Oh, Jeffrey Sherman quoted, oh, six is green, no, six is red, no, six is purple, Jeffrey." Six is purple. And then INFP HD Sean said, yeah, synesthesia is completely new to me. So excited about the new topic I get to explore, and thanks to the girls for bringing it to light for me. You're welcome, Sean. You should try a spicy. Sean said you should try a spicy noodle challenge over. Oh yeah, on your channel. Michelle, you should try that. I tried it. It really made me sick. I really was gonna throw up. I had to pause the video.
What is the spicy noodle challenge? I was just gonna look it up afterwards.
So it's this challenge thing that went viral like some years back. I think people still do it. This Korean noodle. Well, this Korean food company. I think they have this. They're famous for like these noodles that are supposed to be really spicy. They have their regular version, which everybody was doing first, was supposed to be really spicy. Then they made a 2 times spicy one, and then they made, I think, a 4 times spicy one. I tried the regular one because I couldn't find the 2 times spicy one, and the texture. I'm sensitive to strong flavors as it is, so the texture and the chicken flavor. I'm a vegetarian, but that chicken flavor was artificial anyway. So anyway, the flavor, the texture, everything was so bad. But everybody said it tastes good. I thought maybe it tastes good to them, but because I have like sensitive taste buds, it's gonna taste bad for me. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, if the flavor's overwhelming, I bet it would be kind of just overall unenjoyable. So how would you even be able to like you're a vegetarian, it's got chicken flavor and then it's got really strong spices and you don't like spices, so
Yeah, you should try it anyway. It's quite hot and it's like I think Asian food. Well, it depends on where in Asia, but like bad with geography. But Eastern Asia is Korea, East Asian.
mhm.
Korea is in East Asia, right? So I think that kind of cuisine is supposed to have like a balance of sweet and spicy, right? But it just didn't work out with me. It was like I could handle the heat, but it was just the sweetness that was like bothering me, and I didn't like it. I
Mm.
mean, with Somali food, we do have we like sweet and spicy food too, but I don't know. Maybe it was just that product. It was like too artificial and like strong and blah blah blah.
I mean, that's very likely. And you know, people on the internet, they'll say anything. Sometimes they say they like things that they probably don't.
Like I went to school and I was telling my classmate about it, and then he said, I told him that it tasted horrible to me, and he said, but everybody else says it tastes good, and I'm not going to try it now. And I said, yeah, good, don't try it.
I know, you should just say I'm an INFP. I like my own things. I don't like anything you like. I don't like what people, I don't like what the popular people like. I like my own stuff. No.
People like, oh, that sounds, I don't know. People like that are kind of annoying after a while, but then that's kind of me, but I don't know.
I know. It's like
Do you
when
think,
oh, go
go
ahead.
ahead, sorry,
No,
go
you go
ahead.
ahead.
Okay. Do you think that those kinds of people are easy to con because say imagine they become rich and then yeah you give them like or say all the rich people are like too busy wearing expensive stuff and then yeah you say a random con artist comes out of nowhere and gives them like this tattooed thing they found and managed to sew together and they give it to them and they say it's what the it's what the non-rich people are wearing today. You could be different. And they're like, yes, I like to be different.
Oh yeah, I think that actually happens all the time, to be honest. Like, I don't know if you ever think about like the art industry, but like what often happens is like they don't even take like necessarily talented artists. They just take artists and then they sell the art to rich people and say it was something that costs like $10 to produce, they'll sell it for $10,000, saying that it's some like rare, amazing piece of artwork by someone who just like
They'll probably
took
stick
their
a French.
paintbrush and did that and then left.
They'll probably stick a French or like Italian name in front of it too. Just like, it's like this. Oh my god, the
Yeah,
emerging blogger
exactly.
of the 21st century. I like art. I like art. I did it in so in the UK, in the US, you guys major in college, right?
Hmm.
But in the UK, it kind of sucks. You have to major in high school. So basically, I had to. So I picked art, and now that I've left, now that I've finished the course, I tend. I remember that now I like art more, but in the course, I remember that I was just like, I was just doing whatever I could to get the best grades I could. I could be more passionate about it, but I just wanted to do something creative because I was gonna do science, but I didn't. So anyway, there was a trip to museum in London, and people were gonna go see abstract expressionist work, and I didn't go, but I wanted to make sure that I didn't miss any work. So I went home and I did the work at home. And then when everybody else in the trip came back, they said they didn't do anything. They just pranced about London doing nothing, while the teachers were like in the museum. The the kids kind of like just went away from the teachers and didn't do anything. But uh, that time I spent alone, I really found that I found my favorite art movement, abstract expressionism. I really loved it. It was really cool, and it was a shame because we didn't get to do that in the course. It was more like prep for an exam,
In
like
art
a mock
class.
exam. Yeah, so in the art class we had exams, and we didn't know what our exams were going to be about. They were a mystery to us. So took us the teacher took the class to an abstract expressionist exhibition. And then they were supposed to, whilst they gather information and blah blah blah, and then we were supposed to come back and use that material for like a prep for like kind of like a fake exam to work out how we would structure our answers and stuff in the real exam, no matter the subject. But we didn't. Our real exam wasn't about abstract expressionism, so yeah, I guess if it was, it'd be kind of like cheating, wouldn't it?
Right. Because you've
Yeah,
already now seen it and done all those
yeah,
questions already. So you just be remembering what you wrote, basically.
yeah, yeah.
Oh, someone's asking, are you asking us or are you asking people in the chat? And also, I don't know how to say your name because it looks like it's in um, some Eastern Asian language. I'm not going to try to guess which one. It's not
Oh,
Chinese, but
it looks
it's.
like Japanese, but I'm not sure.
Oh, okay. Are we in a Discord chat? I mean, I have Discord.
What did they ask?
They said, are we in a Discord chat for MBTI?
No, I don't use Discord. I've heard about it. I'm not. I haven't never used it, but I would like to use it. My sister uses Discord. I thought Discord was for gaming. Or is that Twitch? Or is that both?
Yeah, so people do actually use Discord a lot for gaming, especially like while they're playing live games so they can communicate and like prep for their games and like talk to each other throughout the game. But it's also like becoming a really popular place where you can talk to people internationally because it's still online, but you can get big groups of people and you can all come on mic. And like people like CS Joseph, he has a Discord. Um,
So everybody has Discord then,
yeah, there's a
kind
lot
of.
of people with Discord. I'm trying to think of other examples and I just can't. But
Maybe. Maybe we should make one. Or
I
something.
think
I
that
don't
could be
know.
fun. Um, Maybe I'll just make, I don't even know what it would be about. I feel like,
MBTI.
Yeah, we could do that. Um,
And Stephanie Douglas says, "Oh, uh, nobody should make art to become rich." I know. I feel like art is like something that requires passion and patience and like the action too, because you can be passionate about something, but if you're not gonna manifest it with your actions, then you can't really. You can just sit there and be passionate about something.
yeah, it's an interesting balance, isn't it? Like to create art because it's one thing to imagine it and it's another thing to actually make it happen.
True, true. And art is not one of those things that is known for just making quick money.
Yeah, most artists don't make any money until after they die.
Oh my god, yeah, and like I don't understand. Why can't is there like some sort of like do you have to be a great artist? Do you have to be dead? Because that's unfortunate.
Yeah, it feels like that because it feels like the people that are getting their art, well, and actually, art's like a really undervalued thing right now in current society. Like, not a lot of people own paintings, not a lot of people go out of their way to buy paintings from people. Um, and unfortunately, part of the problem is paint costs a lot of money to be able to make big portraits, like especially if you use high quality paints. Like some paint tubes cost like $50 for a single tube of like paint. Um, and so the people that can afford to spend, two, three, four, $1,000 on art, like they're not really the majority. So
Oh, I wish I was those people. I mean, if I had like money, buy I would buy abstract expressionist art at least. Yeah, but it's not something that. And like I guess I don't know much about economics, but the 2008 was it recession or
mhm,
something? I
yeah.
think that hit the world pretty hard, and it's what is it? What is it? Yeah, well, I guess it happened more recently. I guess so. Maybe. I mean, I know. Britain's just well, not recently, but in these recent years, it's just come out of recession.
Yeah, America got stuck in a recession after that, and we were just kind of going back and forth, kind of like a little wave line. Like it goes up sometimes, and then it goes down. But the way that we measure that is through the stock market. Um, though I would say right now we're still in a recession because like the cost of living and the cost of, I mean, and the income, the gap is really low. Like, I mean, at this point, it's really hard to live in America as a single person. Like, you can't get a one bedroom apartment very easily unless you have like a really high paying job, and it's really hard to get a high paying job. And that's a whole thing that I just,
Sounds tough.
yeah.
I guess it'd be more harder if that person had family, somebody to take care of.
Exactly, and that's a huge problem is for people who have young children, like young couples who have children and they couldn't afford college or they're still paying off their college debt. Like not to be TMI, but I have to pay like almost $200 a month for student debt um, from a single semester of school that I went to in 2010, and I'm still paying
Wow.
that much, and that's like the
This is
bare
the interest.
minimum. Yeah, and the interest. Um,
I sorry, go ahead.
no, go ahead.
That's one of the reasons why I haven't gone to university. I don't know, is the debt in America more like larger than the one here? Because here university tuition is £9,250 per year. It used to be 9,000, and then it used to be 6,000, and then it used to be, I don't know, and then before that, like in the 90s, somewhere in the 90s, it was completely free, but now it's not, and it just keeps rising.
Well, it depends on where you go, but I think a pretty normal average for a year's worth of tuition is closer to 20 to 30,000.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
wow,
And that's for
that's not fair.
undergraduate. It's not. And another problem is that we have privatized loans through Sally Mae. There's like some laws that were passed that allowed private companies to own the loans, which means they can do whatever they like, moving things between the accounts to get certain, like I've even seen in my own student loans, they've moved money from a lower percentage interest rate account and moved it into a higher percentage rate account so that I had more money in the higher percentage and less in the lower percentage. So I'm paying increasingly more interest.
I mean, if, as a country, you're, is it, whether, I don't, whether you agree with this or not, but in my opinion, as a government, your the investment that will decide whether your country is more successful domestically and internationally is that investment is your future generation, is an investment in the future of your country. So surely having a future generation that is basically stunted by debt is a poor investment in your country's future.
Tell me about it. Here's the thing about Murica. Murica wants immediate gain, and it's part of a problem because a lot of it stems from having so many corporations, and corporations now have laws that include them, which means that corporations have the same, if not more value in a courtroom than a human being. And so they can do things, they can take away taxes, and they have more international say. So a lot of governmental laws, because corporations can fund the government. So for example, when Obama became president in 2008, Michelle Obama had this like huge campaign for getting kids healthy, and her immediate thing was get them active and get um, vending machines out of the schools, right? So that there wouldn't be the snacks and the sugar and the soda in the schools, right? Well, a couple months into her campaign of doing this, she got funded by Coca-Cola and she got funded by
Oh,
Nestle. And I forgot, I think the other company is Frito-Lay, potentially. Don't quote me on which companies. I know Coca-Cola for sure. I don't know the other two. But she got funded privately. And the next month, or within a very short period of time, she was making her campaign completely about exercise and completely dropped all of her attempts at getting rid of vending machines.
that's
So
humans for you. I guess it's not just America because I feel like our worst enemy is like the like short, short term, short term pleasure. So, for example, if I wanted to be using myself as an example, I would like to be more healthier um, in the physical sense. So, but I struggle with that because it's easier for me to have um, I don't know, like Pringles. It's easier for me to have it because it's just there and it tastes good. And with the government, money, basically, just easy money.
exactly, and that's something that I'm actually really passionate about, finding ways to find resolutions to that, where we can have both short-term gains and long-term gains so that you can get the backing of corporations while at the same time doing something that's going to benefit long-term. Like the creation of computers. Or no, actually, let's bring it back. Let's bring a really good example that I like to bring up, which is Thomas Edison's power plants. Okay? So when he first made power plants, they could only power a limited amount of space, right? Like only a very short distance away from the actual power plant. A short period of time later, Tesla designed this dual conductor, great, amazing power plant that used half the energy and went twice the distance. And unfortunately, they didn't want to build his plans because they had already built 20, these are arbitrary numbers, of Edison's, right? So we have another example, Henry Ford's cars, right? They didn't think about the long-term consequences of using gasoline to power cars. They were thinking, how can I get as many cars to as many people as possible? And didn't think that maybe we should make sure that the cars are using a good long-term resource as their power instead of just mass producing something that's cheap and easy to produce. Like these are just a couple examples of how like inventions had good intentions, but they didn't think about all of the possibilities. And it's only compounded now because our generation has lived in that world where we just do things that way. And it's not as common for people to think about the long-term gain because everything is instant gratification. I think that social media is not a cause of a problem with society where we have this instant gratification need. I think it is a symptom. Like this has happened because of our need. Like we have created social media because we as humans had this need already and we needed an outlet for it. And that's where social media came in. And now we've become addicted to it, just like the same as you with chips or whatever. Yeah, it's really good. It's there. And why not continue to have it when the alternative is much more difficult, you know?
Yeah. It's been something that's been happening for a long time.
Exactly.
And like people are exerting all their power and making sure in upkeeping that habit instead of breaking out of it.
Yeah. Well, it's a scary process to try to change
Me,
everything.
yeah, deep stuff.
Is that some artwork you have there?
Yeah, so I don't think this is good at all, but basically, in my last exam, we could pick the topic. So we had a main topic, and the main topic was amalgamation. It's a bit vague, but I think they made it like a bit vague so that you, as a student, can go pick a topic within the topic to focus on. And because synesthesia is the amalgamation of the senses, I decided to focus on synesthesia. And I researched some artists, and one of the artists, I don't know his last name, but anyway, he basically would get layers and layers of paint, very thick layers of paint, and then build them up and like kind of like swirl it around and create textured paints, paintings that way. And I've tried doing that, like just trying to, I guess, create a visual amalgamation of the senses, kind of something. I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying, but anyway, since this is kind of a bit messed up because paper got stuck in it, but anyway, this is like one of them. I love rainbow things anyway, so I put a bunch of colors on here, and yeah.
I really like the texture too. You can see like when you turn the page like how layered it is. And the
Yeah.
colors actually like they seem really random, but they look really nice together.
Yeah, and I create this one too. This one is a bit random, but anyway, I created one like this. It was I think it was red and blue, and I swirled it around, and then it came out really cool when it dried, and I used it as like a brain texture on Photoshop. Blah blah blah.
Oh, that's
Yeah, so
cool. I love
yeah,
that.
I this month I went back to my school and picked up some of my art folders. But I didn't pick up all of them because I didn't want to burden the lady. So yeah,
Well, maybe you can take another trip and get the rest of them.
I'm not going back there. It was so hard to get this stuff in the first place. I was just like, forget this. I
Oh.
have like a digital copy of it, like somewhere.
Well, at least you have something of it. That's actually something that I regret being older is like I've moved around a lot, and so because of that, I've like thrown away a lot of things, and some of the things that I threw away were old artwork and like notebooks and stuff, which now make me really sad because they're very sentimental things that I decided to get rid of because I was like, I don't need to be sentimental. I need to move. And why would I carry all these big things around with me when I need, clothes?
Because minimalism,
Exactly.
minimalism. Oh my god, I regret throwing some things away too, like my primary school yearbook. I regret throwing that away.
Yeah. I threw away all my yearbooks too. I don't have any of them anymore.
That
It's
was the
very.
last one I had because yearbooks aren't big here, so
Oh,
you just
really?
yeah like so. Usually you just get like a jumper with everybody's names on. Sometimes you don't even get that. It's a bit miserable.
A jumper with everyone's names on it? Would you
I know
even wear
it's
that
a bit
anywhere?
cheesy. It's a bit cheesy, but it's like a memory. Like I don't know. I think I would like yearbooks more, but you don't really get yearbooks. It depends on the school. If the school says a yearbook, then a yearbook. If they say a jumper with like I don't know, so a jumper that has like on the back it has a number. I think the number is like the year you graduated or something.
Hmm.
And then within the number, there's like hundreds and hundreds of tiny little names, tiny, tiny little names. I prefer a
Okay.
yearbook. I prefer a yearbook.
Yeah, I think our school did both. But at the high school that I went to specifically, they let the boys and the girls do their own because the school was so big. So, like, the boys would have their shirt and the girls would have their shirt. So, like, our school mascot is a Trojan, like, the Trojan horses and stuff.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
the guys, I guess, because the boys really, because they were like 16, 17, 18. Anyway, um, they made their shirt like Trojan men always come prepared. And then they put all their names on the shirt. It was pretty fun.
Cool. Funny you should mention Trojan. Um, in fifth grade, we had our classes were named after different like Greek cities, I guess.
Hmm.
I know Troy isn't really Greek, is it? I don't know.
I
But
think so.
mine was like Troy. Other class was Athens, Sparta, blah blah blah. And then they would have like competitions and debates, and it was really cool.
Well, that's cool. I would love to just have a conversation with you at some point about the differences between our schooling systems because I think the more we talk, I'm just like, you guys did that? That's so cool. We had field day.
Well, I really like how you guys don't get pressured to major in anything so soon.
Yeah, I think that seems a little unnecessary because
I don't like that at all.
when you're 14 or 13, how are you supposed to know like what you want to do with your life? That's way too early to make that
Yeah, you
decision.
like major twice. So like in ninth grade, or was it 10th? Yeah, in ninth grade you pick. So you start off by doing like I don't know a bunch of subjects. And then in ninth grade, you pick out some of your like less important subjects. So say I don't want to do Spanish, I want to do drama. Say I don't want to do so I kick out Spanish and I just do drama and like three other subjects. And but I have my necessary subjects like those subjects that I'm supposed to do. Like I don't have no choice in those. Like I have to do maths, English, so on, right? And then so you choose those, you do them, you do that in year 10. But in year 9, you continue to do everything else, but you just pick in year 9. Then year 10 and year 11, you do those four subjects plus your like the ones that you're supposed to do, you have to do. And then in year 11, you graduate high school. I know it's weird to you. Basically, you like leave high school and then you go on to something called sixth form or college. It's like the same thing, but the way that you do the same thing, but the way that the way that they are structured is it. One is more like school, like a bit more strict, and one is more like they give you a bit more freedom. So college is not like um university or anything. It's just like year 12 and year 13 you do there. You go to do year 12 and 13 there, and in year 12 and 13 you either do something called A levels or you do BTEC. So with BTEC you pick one subject that's equivalent to three A levels, and you get 3 grades at the end. Then that's when you go to university with depending on the grades that you get. But with A levels, you get 3 grades too, but it's 3 different subjects.
Okay.
Yeah, BTEC is more coursework based, and it has exams, but way less exams. It's way more coursework based. A levels is more exam based. I did BTEC because I don't think I'm good with exams. Like they just stress me out too much, so I did BTEC.
Interesting. So our school systems, I mean, hearing that our systems aren't that different, like in high school, like you have your gen ed or like your generic classes that you have to take, but you have a certain level of choice with all of your classes, so to speak. Like you kind of sign up for the different classes you want to take. Like you have math, right? But you can choose. Once you get past a certain level of math, you can then choose what kind of math you want to take, like whether you want to take statistics or calculus or whatever. You can choose a language, but it's like an elective class, and art's an elective, and drama's an elective, and you have to take a writing class or an English class, but you could choose to take advanced English or you could take regular English. Um, I guess it's a little different, but you have like your generic ed classes and then you have your elective classes. But you're not forced to continue on in your elective classes the next year. You could
Oh
take whole
really?
new elective classes. Yeah.
That sounds more fun because with us you have to you're like forced to continue with those until the end of high school, except unless you have like a really good reason as to why you want to change and change early enough in the year. Also, what else? I don't know. I forgot what I was gonna say again. Yeah, yeah. I just wish that we weren't like made to choose like in year 12 or year 13 what could possibly determine what we study in like university. So for example, I studied art, so I'd be expected to go and do art in university or something like that. It'd be very hard for me to go and do if I all of a sudden had a sudden change of mind and wanted to do medicine in university. There would probably be like no way of me ever going on to medicine in university because of what I studied in school, because I just wouldn't have the basic like knowledge for it.
Wow. Okay, I see what you're saying. That's kind of frustrating that like, what that decision how old are you when you go into grade 12?
let's see, 16, I think.
So at 16, you basically like choose your life trajectory.
I know, it's like so annoying. If I wanted to do medicine, I would be not that I want to, but typical candidate would look like A levels or A levels most likely. Um, say like A level sciences, biology, chemistry, blah blah blah, or like a BTech science student.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think it should be changed. It's not good at all, I think, in my opinion.
Yeah, that seems not not good. But our system isn't really that much better, so maybe we can learn from each other's systems.
Yeah. By the way, I have to say that I'm on 9% because my battery life is really bad, so I will switch to my charger. Um, is there any way of like pausing this?
I can either stop it, but I can just make it to where you're not on the screen.
Yeah, yeah.
So, those of you guys who are still here, what are you guys thinking? What's on your mind? The chat is super delayed, so.
Yeah, it really is. I can see it from here. Someone asked what is the 90-day rule. I don't think they asked us though.
No, I think they were talking about changing your username on YouTube.
Me or
No, them, because they had this whole conversation about how one of the letters was off by a
oh,
slight angle, and so he went to change it, but it was not
oh,
available.
oh. Okay. Um, Stephanie Douglas said, make sure you claim student loan interest on your taxes. That's helpful.
Yeah, except I can't claim any this year, but that's okay. You live and you learn.
What else has been said? Um, you know what I've noticed with live streaming? It's really hard to multitask with live streaming.
Yeah, I don't understand how people can like have a conversation and read the chat all the time. Like I used to work as a trainer, and so I had to do that to a certain degree, but I also kind of purposely ignored chat to make sure that people would actually talk to me, like raise their hands and talk to me. Because it was like virtual training. So like we'd
Oh,
say
okay.
it's like 20 people in a room. We're all on camera, but I'm the one who's like presenting the information. Like I could put a slideshow or have someone share their screen or whatever, like in the main part of the room. And then they'd have a chat box so that they could all like participate. But I would like purposely ignore that so they would like raise their hands and talk and like interact like humans as opposed to just chatting.
I don't know why when you say trainer, I think of like exercise trainer, like in the exercise sense. But you don't mean that. You mean
No, I mean corporate sales trainer.
yeah. I'm weird. Okay.
It's okay. It's much more boring than being a physical trainer.
So I'm just gonna go get my charger. I guess I don't know how like I can pause this. You said that you could make me not be on screen.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. The thing is, basically, it's a bit of a long story, but where I usually have my charger plugged, I put my lamp because I have another switch that I put the lamp. I can plug the lamp in, but my sister always goes over there, goes like opens the wardrobe because it's close to the wardrobe, and she always ends up breaking the stupid light bulb.
Wow.
I know she doesn't do it by purpose. It just happens. It's like a really faulty lamp. Have you noticed like my technology is like a bit dodgy?
That's okay. I'm used to dodgy technology. Don't worry.
Okay, so I will just then let me see. What can I do?
Um,
Okay, so I'm gonna go and take the lamp, plug it in somewhere else, and then get my charger from the hallway because I plugged my charger in the hallway plug because that plug, I don't know, it was acting up. Like I don't know, the charger wasn't working
mhm.
properly there. So I'm gonna see.
Okay.
I'll just leave you there, okay?
Okay.
Tell me if you see anything like mysterious while I'm gone.
Okay. Is anyone there? Can anybody hear me? Okay, I'm combining songs. That was not the same two songs together.
Gone dark.
It's it's a black hole now.
No, not confirmed.
Hi. Welcome. She's just grabbing her charger, so she's rearranging her stuff. She's an INFP. So ENFP, INFP conversation, any craziness and such.
Um,
Yes.
I'll
Pretty
just
much.
have it. I'll just have it like this for now. Can you hear me still?
I can hear you. You're hiding in the dark.
Yes, I'm afraid I'll have to.
See there now you guys can see when she talks.
Yeah, but my charger is like wobbly,
Mm, yeah.
so I can't really have it to her face. I mean, you could just stare at my face, me looking down at you, but I don't think that would be pretty.
You don't want us like counting your nose hairs and looking for
No, you can't. No one's allowed to see my double chin.
I doubt you even have one. Stop with that.
My sister always teases me. She's annoying sometimes.
Yeah, siblings are annoying usually.
Yeah, she always tells on me. Like, but I always get her out of trouble.
Wow. So, I guess we should make like the last little leg of our conversation about what we kind of talked about earlier, which we haven't brought up yet, which is a little bit more controversial, but I think it could be really interesting, and I think it's important to talk about because there definitely are two like polarizing uh, mentalities about it, right? So that whole concept of
Yeah.
you want to kind of explain that concept we were talking about a little bit?
So this is very controversial, especially at this moment in time, I guess. Um, so there's this term that's being given to people who are like kind of highly sensitive, snowflake. And then so you can either like highly sensitive, and people who are just like, no, be tough, be strong. You can't be offended. But I think there needs to be a middle ground.
Yeah, I think so too.
I think
Like, oh, go ahead.
no, you go ahead. It's okay.
No, you go.
Okay, so I think that each side needs to understand each other and stop being so um tough on each other and be stop being so ignorant with each other.
Right. Like you have the one end of the spectrum where everybody has like a specific term for who they are and um, gets offended if you call them by the wrong term or, label them the incorrect way, whether it's sexuality, gender, religion, um, et cetera, et cetera. I can't think of very many examples right now. Sorry, guys, my brain is getting tired. But on the other end of the spectrum, you have people who say, you know, you can't be that way. Why are you that way? There's only this option and this option. What you're talking about doesn't even exist. They're calling people by the wrong pronouns or calling people by the wrong whatever it is. And they are like, I don't want to have to walk on eggshells all the time. And the other people are like, I just want to be respected. And I want you to call me by what I want to be called by. And it's just a whole lot of ignorance on both sides because there really just needs to be a middle ground where like you don't get offended by somebody calling you the wrong thing unless they're doing it purposefully. And for those people on the other side, you know, get to know somebody and understand their preferences and, you know, attempt to do it the way that they want, but like an understanding on both ends that that's not always going to happen.
Yeah, you're right. I struggled with this myself. Like, um, I tend to be highly like easily offended, and I think I've come far in the sense that I always stop myself when I'm offended by something. I always stop myself and think, why are you offended by this? Did that person actually mean it in that way? Or are you just acting out too quick?
Right, so you kind of like try to your methodology for dealing with it is kind of thinking about like what are the other possibilities behind why they said that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a really good option, though there are a lot of people who struggle to do that and they think that it's stupid to take the time to do that because they should just be taken care of the other way and what have you. And I just wish people would
What
get
did
along.
Yeah, that'd be the ideal world, but sadly isn't. Did you were kind of breaking up there?
Oh, sorry. I can't remember what I said now.
It's okay. You'll probably be really tired. Um, yeah. I think there just needs to be understanding. Yeah.
Yeah, for some reason I thought there would be more to say about this.
Oh my god. I mean, I could really say some stuff, but I don't. I don't want to like. Basically, I feel like um. So I feel like maybe some people are easily offended because I don't know. If someone is easily offended, they could. Well, for me, basically, I don't like to offend anybody. Okay, I don't like to offend anybody. Without that's gonna be impossible, right? As long as I stay away from things that are like that I shouldn't say or like do, then I will be fine. But I feel like some people, like comedians, are a good example. So comedians could sometimes make like race jokes and stuff like that. Then they could just pass it off as like comedy. But to me, it's not comedy. It's just like, why do you need to insult a whole group of people to be funny? You don't need to do that.
Yeah, that's kind of, I think, one of the important shifts that needs to happen is to for comedians to adapt to society too, because I think comedians have a really big impact on modern day society more so than they ever have. Like, um, people really take people really like comedy because right now is kind of like a hard time to be alive in general. Like, it's kind
Yeah,
of a depressing world to live in, just like the way everything is. And comedy is a really good outlet for dealing with it, and especially with the internet and having easy access to it, it's a great way for, dealing with the depression. And unfortunately, it's one of the ways that like perpetuates the stereotypes, perpetuates these negative things, um, because they're kind of using, in a way, old material. And sometimes they say uh, that they're using it to kind of decrease the stigma, but in a lot of ways, like what you're saying, why do they have to make it about race to make it funny? Couldn't is the race even important in that joke? Can you still make a similar joke without involving race at all?
Yeah. It's just weird. For example, if nobody got offended by anything, I think so many things wouldn't have changed. So, like, um, like say women having the right to vote. Um, if like women didn't feel like, well, it's a right, okay, and everybody has a right to vote, right? But if like women just was like, oh well, I'm a woman and I'm not allowed to vote, so I'll just stay like this, then they wouldn't have gotten their right to vote, which they shouldn't be. Like, nobody has to fight for their rights. But what I'm trying to say is, if people just sat down and just listened to the negative parts of society, then, yeah, nothing would have changed for the better.
Yeah, I think what I've been talking about with my boyfriend and stuff. We've kind of talked about this a little bit, and it just seems like our focus is on things that really shouldn't matter. Like it shouldn't matter what someone's race is. It shouldn't matter what their religion is. It shouldn't matter what gender they are, what sexual orientation they are. We should be talking about the more important problems that are actually affecting us all, because, like, race shouldn't be something that's affecting us. Like we shouldn't have kids who are racist, because kids learn that from their parents and from their teachers. And so why are we teaching these to our kids when we need to be focusing on things that are actually important, like, using our tax money to fund things that are actually going to benefit society, or funding or buying the right products that are actually going to do positive things, or like talking about the laws that are in place and how they're affecting people, instead of trying to perpetuate these kind of things. And I know that there still are issues in those communities, and I know that that still exists, but I do think that our focus should be more on the grander scheme of society rather than these individual little problems.
Yes, it's about the bigger picture, I guess. It's about the bigger picture, but I guess we all just keep getting distracted.
I think that's exactly it. We're just getting distracted because, I mean, it's kind of the same thing as what we were talking about earlier. Like, it's easier to do this. It's easier to talk about these problems than it is to talk about the bigger problems, because the amount of change that's required for the bigger problems is a lot more than these little problems. And yes, you should be breaking down big problems into smaller problems, but the smaller problems that we're attacking are so small that they don't even put a dent into the bigger problem.
Yeah,
Like,
you're right. What were you saying? Sorry.
I was gonna say, just kind of like with equality in the workplace, right? They do a solution where they try to get percentages of people of different races or gender identities or whatever to show that they are not racist or not sexist or whatever. They put certain percentages into place to show that they're quote unquote diverse, rather than trying to fix overall problems with the company. They're hiring people who aren't even as good at a job because they fit a racial profile, which is only perpetuating a problem rather than hiring the best person. But then, then if we realize that hiring the person of a certain race isn't the problem, we would then realize that it's the educational opportunities that people have, and it doesn't matter race or not. Poorer people have worse educational opportunities. It's the rich the richer people who can afford to get their kids the right school supplies, who can afford to get their kids into better schools with smaller student to teacher ratios, with higher quality education, like it should just be that we focus on education rather than diversity in the workplace. I don't know. Anyway.
That's so true. I guess like we just all are too busy sweeping the bigger problems under the carpet and just pretending like, for example, you could have a say you move into a new house and like the walls are like filled with the walls are really damaged and like have damp and stuff. You could just keep on painting over it, but you're still gonna have the same problem.
That's a really, really great analogy. Yeah, you could just keep painting over the problem, or you could fix it, or you could put duct tape on the plumbing, or you could replace the plumbing. If you put the duct tape, you're gonna have to keep putting duct tape on there eventually. Like the duct tape's gonna wear down.
Yes, true, true.
But then the question becomes how to get people to pay attention to the bigger picture.
Yes, it starts with the executive, and you have to really stop in the moment. You have to, for example, so say, um, it's like a, a marathon. You can think all you want that you can run really fast and win the whole marathon and not stop for breaks and like not, but that's not gonna help, is it? You're just gonna feel more bent out and will more likely drop out, right? But you should, well, you should really stop yourself in the moments you're thinking of trying to exert all your energy and really think in that moment and take your break and get back to finishing the overall thing. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but I think it all starts with the moment. Like you should stop yourself in that moment and think and then do.
Right. Be more aware of your present situation. Stop, think about what your long term goal is and what your current physical or mental or whatever situation it is, understand what it actually is and where you want to take it and make the next decision based off both of those instead of only focusing on the future or only focusing on the immediate gain.
Yes. Jeffrey Sherman has said, how to get them to pay attention by including it in what people are already focusing on. Have you seen Donald Glover's This is This is America? It's a profoundly powerful piece of work. And then Lovely said the second speaker is muffled. I can't understand some of what you're saying. Sorry, my phone is like. I'll try and like. Hold on. Can you hear properly now? I'm just charging it. It's on the bed, so I guess I need to be close to it.
Yeah, it's just like I think like your phone has like a high gain, which just kind of like spreads out the sound and makes it kind of oh, she said that's better, so that's good.
Okay, so you hear that. So I need to be closer to the microphone. You're welcome. Oh, Luan, that's your name, right? You made a video about how the types watch TV. I like that video a lot. Especially the INFP one. That was really funny. Even though I related more to the INTJ one, but it was really funny. Because the INFP said something like, "Oh, I was a rat in my pastime." That's so
Oh my
funny.
gosh.
I
I have
think that
not
was.
seen that. I need to
You
watch
should
that.
see it. It's so funny.
Oh, that's great. I'll have to watch that Donald Glover piece. I've never seen it.
Yeah. So so who is Donald Glover? Is he like a novelist or?
That's a great. I'm gonna look him up. Donald Glover.
You're
He's an actor, comedian, rapper, and
rapper?
DJ.
Sounds like that his name.
Oh,
Oh, go
he's
ahead.
the guy
Sorry.
from Childish Gambino. Is that the same person
Is it?
who wrote?
Oh, I was think. Oh, I don't know his real name. I just know he's like, his stage name. Even though I don't listen
Mhm.
to his stuff or anything, I just like,
Oh, I do.
yeah.
I love his music.
His real name sounds so serious, and then you hear like you think that that's an author's name or something, and then you hear rapper. I'm like, huh?
That is pretty funny. It's like a nice dichotomy. I bet that's helpful though. He can use his stage name to kind of like get people to think he's pretty like approachable and like um, at our level, and then his actual name makes him sound like some kind of like highly educated British fellow.
Oh my god. Like when people think about Britain, they only think I feel like they only think about like the rich side of London, that's it. They don't think about like the other accents and like all the other areas.
Well, and they've even done studies where like even with like a Cockney accent or like a really like undereducated accent, people from America still think that British people sound smarter.
Oh my god. I used to live in England so what the hell? I used to live in East London for like from 2000 and uh 7 late 2007 to like uh 12, and so I used to live in the side where they would speak like Cockney, I guess. Um yeah, I don't know. It wasn't like known to be like a rich area, and like you didn't like pronounce like certain words as like how other people who are like commonly on TV, like news reporters or like the prime minister, would pronounce it.
Yeah, yeah, I think that accent is pretty funny. There's actually a show I watched that took place on that like in that kind of area where they all had like really heavy accents. And myself personally, I can tell that they're undereducated just the way that they use verbs in general, but I think Americans just are slow with that kind of stuff. I don't remember what that show was about. It was about like a woman who was really
Yeah.
awkward, and she worked in like a convenience store of some sort. I can't remember actually anything about the show. I watched it like almost 2 years ago now.
A woman who worked in a convenience.
That's
I
so
don't know.
vague.
I know that's really big. I don't know. I mean, that accent here is considered like they did this kind of survey polling in like England, I guess, and they said, and this accent in Birmingham was voted the dumbest. That's so rude. Like, how can somebody's accent sound dumb?
Well, we have the same problem in America where people from especially like the South, like in certain areas, their accent just like people are like, oh, that's stupid, just because like the way that their accent sounds, even though it has no reflection on their education. It's just people like equate an accent with stupidity.
Yes, true. I guess it really returns back to that thing that you were saying about it's easier to like um I guess it's easier to be on autopilot with your thoughts and your actions than to actually change something for the better.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely like a struggle that I have. I've been trying to work on it, but even saying that, I just feel like I'm sounding contentious because, like, or pretentious because Yes, I am trying, but also I'm failing miserably, and I'm just like falling into those kind of like habits where um, I let my thoughts and my actions kind of be on a sort of autopilot.
Well, you do have your like bullet journal thing, so
Yeah,
that's a start.
it is. It is a start.
Yeah, I used to have a bullet journal before, and I just couldn't like keep up with it.
It took me 2 years to actually get to the point where I kept up with it. And even like, I mean, I didn't even use my bullet journal in pretty much most of September, October, or November. I didn't even start really using it again until December. So um, I've been using it pretty diligently since then,
That's
actually,
good.
like
That's
a
good.
lot, but
I think it's about the motivation, really. I mean, the customization is tempting, but motivation.
yeah, I think honestly, motivation should be our ultimate goal because without motivation, you don't have action, or you have automated action, or you're just doing it because it's something that you've always done. And I think motivation is what helps you break from that. Um, but motivation is also something that's hard to maintain because sometimes you think, oh, I'm motivated, I'm going to stay motivated. But what ends up happening is the opposite is you get motivated, you have a little burst of that action from the motivation, and then you think you can rely on that, and then you get lazy with your actions, and then you lose your motivation. And thus the cycle goes where you get motivated, you do a bunch of action and then you think you can rely on it and then you get demotivated and back and forth and back and forth.
That's really true. I always like end up getting motivated, and then I just end up crashing back down.
Yeah, it's hard to maintain motivation because it's kind of like what you were talking about with the marathon. Um, you can think that you can keep going and going and going without taking a break, but you're expending energy. Like creating motivation for yourself is expending energy, and until you practice it, like you can't just be someone who never runs and then run a 25K cross country marathon. um, you have to practice, you have to condition, you have to drink lots of water, you have to eat a lot of food, and you have to prepare for months and months and months ahead of time in order to do that marathon. And I think motivation is exactly the same, where you have to figure out what motivates you and you have to continue to adapt because what motivates you now is not going to always motivate you. um, and you have to, I don't know, I think it's kind of more about the feeling of the motivation so much more than the source of the motivation, because I think the source will change a lot depending
Yeah,
on whatever you're interested in.
yeah, yeah, true. Speaking, well, back to accents. I do have to say that hmm, well, I have to say that even though even myself I don't like some accents. Like I know when I moved here I didn't like the accent, but it doesn't really matter because um it's about it's more about it's beyond like superficial things like accents and and even myself I've picked up on this accent, not fully but like here and there. So it's not like it doesn't really matter, does it?
Yeah,
The accent.
it doesn't. I've noticed the same thing. Like watching videos of myself, I can hear my accent, how it is when I live one place compared to where I live another place. It's like really hard not to pick up the accent, at least to some degree of where you live. It's like kind of
Yeah.
almost impossible.
Yeah. By the way, I heard that like some parts of the US are experiencing really horrible cold weather.
Yeah, 2 nights ago it was -37 and it had a
Oh
high
my
of
god.
-17 degrees Fahrenheit.
How are people like still alive? I don't understand. I can barely like handle my cold feet and my cold hands. Oh my god. I feel like the US always has it really hard with the weather. It's either some places are burning, hurricanes, this, that. Just never get a break.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, America's so huge. There's so many different ecosystems. Like, there's so many different weather patterns and weather systems. So you have like really desertous areas, and then you have really mountainous areas, and you have really rainy areas, and you have really hot areas and really cold areas. And we just have, just because the country is so large, like Britain can fit into like at least half the
Texas.
states.
I
At
heard
least
I heard
half.
it could fit to Texas.
I feel like it could fit into Texas 20 times. That might be an exaggeration. That's probably an exaggeration. Hold on. How many states? I have to look it up. How many states
We're in the US.
in the US?
50 something, right?
Yeah, 50. Can Britain fit in? I'm sure that answer's out there.
Loads and loads and loads.
Okay, only 11.
Still a lot.
Yeah. Texas, California, Oregon, Montana. No, Wyoming. Hold on.
Jeffrey said, -37, where are you? Minnesota.
Basically, I'm close to Chicago. Like, I'm a couple hours away from Chicago, Illinois.
Chicago has it worse, doesn't it?
Chicago has some of the worst weather
Oh my
because,
god.
well, anywhere like right next to that lake, because Lake Superior and any of the Great Lakes, they're so north, they're so northern that all that humidity is going into the air, and it's freezing because they're so far north. So humidity, freezing, snow, sleet, terrible. It snows all winter long and doesn't stop. Like, there's literally, it's been snowing all week. We have like almost 2 feet of snow outside our house right now.
Wow. You know, over here, yeah, the weather here isn't as extreme as it gets in the US with all its different climates, right? Here, if you get even the smallest amount of snow, schools are closed. Everything is closed. Emergency. I'm not complaining because I don't like when I was in school I was like, yes. Like everybody's like, yes, but I don't understand. It's a cold place. Why are they not equipped to handle this? Why do things have to get closed every time a little
How
bit of snow
often
hits
does
the
it
ground?
snow?
Not a lot really, I guess. That makes sense though. It snows
Yeah.
like December sometimes, January. We're supposed to get some snow. January. Well, we're not in January anymore. I'm sorry, I'm in January. Um, February, January time is when it's supposed to snow. And even then, I don't think it'd be a lot of snow compared to what you guys get
Yeah.
for
Um,
fall.
Well, there are states in America where that's exactly how it happens. They get snow like maybe once, maybe a few times in winter, and everything shuts down. The place where I live, that is definitely not the case. The snowplow comes through a couple times throughout the day, and your street is clear, and you better get to work, or nobody's going to cover for you. Or better
Wow.
get to school. Like, school's still open. They don't care about a foot of snow. Who cares? It's just,
Meanwhile, over here, it's like national emergency, blah blah
yeah.
blah. Here, the weather is like cloudy, rainy, and then in the summer it gets quite hot. And because the houses here are like made for the winter in the sense that there's no air conditioning, so it's really hot. It gets really hot inside.
That sounds like the Pacific Northwest of America in like Oregon and Washington. I used to have an apartment out there, and that's exactly how their weather was. Like, for 6 to 9 months of the year, it's pretty rainy. Maybe there's some snow, maybe not. Um, and then during the summer, it's super hot, and there's no AC in like any apartment anywhere or any house.
I
unless
think
it's
they should.
new.
I think they should always just have like air conditioning just in case.
You never know when it's going to be 106 outside and you live in a third floor apartment and there's no airflow and your house faces north and or east and west, so you're just getting sunshine all day.
Yeah, yeah. Even I mean, Jeffrey said it's the same here as Siham. Louisiana. I don't know how to say that. Sorry, but he's talking about Louisiana. Have no idea. They have no idea how to navigate snow. So if it ever does snow, we shut down. Tell me about it. Like a bit ridiculous.
Yeah. Good
But I'm
old
not complaining.
Louisiana.
No one's complaining. Like everybody's happy to get off work and school.
Yeah. Thankfully, I work from home, so I don't have to leave my house when it snows, except to get groceries.
That's good. I don't like the cold anyway, and I've noticed in the summer that my feet and my hands are less cold, and then in the winter they get way more colder again.
That's why I love socks.
Oh yeah, socks.
Socks are a great invention that it just makes you feel really sad that they have not always existed.
Hmm.
um, but I'm getting really tired. Is there anything else like you want to maybe say before we call it a night?
Um, no, not really, but thank you to everybody that watched. Um, and thanks to the 3 people that stuck around. I bet this was really long.
Yeah, thanks for staying around and hanging out with us and having this conversation, which was just kind of about a bunch of random stuff, but that's the kind of conversations I like. um, and I will put the link for Siham's channel in my description box, and you guys can check out her channel. I said it earlier, but she has some really great, funny videos. And then some ones that are a little bit more serious that are really well done. She's very good at editing, so definitely check out her channel. It is So Many Mondays. It's a good channel, so check it out.
And isn't it funny, like how like in the in one of your other philosophical Fridays, I forgot the auto alchemy. He's being kind of like went down. Oh, that's funny. No, nothing went like wrong here, I guess.
Oh yeah, the Illuminati tried to get
Yeah,
him
yeah, yeah.
because
Yeah,
maybe we just didn't talk controversial enough for the Illuminati involvement today.
yeah. Well, my phone did glitch quite a few times, but then it always does.
Yeah, just little time. So I mean, it wasn't really enough to lose any of what you were saying, I don't think. So that was good.
Yeah. Okay. It was nice talking to you, Michelle.
Yeah, thanks everybody for watching, and we will see you another time. Go ahead and leave all your comments and opinions down below. I'm sure you will anyway. All right, bye guys.
Bye bye.